Hello and welcome to Knife Delights. Well, folks, we've had an election. It was a hard-fought battle on both sides, but we have had an election. It looks like we're going to have a peaceful transition of power, something that America can be very proud of. But whenever you have a winner, well, you got to have a loser. So while I am very happy with the results of the election, there may be some of my viewers out there that don't quite see it the same way. And what I really wanted to talk about today wasn't about partisan politics. Try to leave that off of this channel. But I would like to talk about the theme of our nation healing, our nation coming together, recognizing that we are all Americans. This is one of the reasons why I study history and actually study Civil War history so much. And what makes it so interesting is, you know, today we talk about our nation being more divided than ever before. Well, folks, let me tell you, there have been times in our history when we've been more divided than we are today. And the best and most clearest example is the War of the Rebellion, as it was called on the North, or the War of Northern Aggression, as it was called by in the South. Hundreds of thousands of casualties in that war. Something we cannot even imagine today. We think we have it tough. We think times are hard. But when we look back and we really study history, and when we look at not only what the soldiers went through, but what their relatives or loved ones went through back on the home front, just merely trying to survive, always wondering if their husband or their son or their brother, fiance, you know, were they gonna be killed? Were they gonna be maimed? Would they ever see them again? Those were some tough times. But right along with that, we can take the example of what happened at the end of the Civil War. The famous scene where General Lee surrendered to General Grant at Appomattox. As you can imagine, there was just horribly bad feelings between the both sides. You can just imagine what the hatred was on both sides. Each side blamed the other side. If you were a Billy Yank and you lost your best friend and your dad and your brother, why, you had no time for a Johnny Reb, and vice versa. If you were a Johnny Reb, you lost people close to you, you had no time for a Billy Yank. Let's look at that example. Something that seems to be forgotten about these days is Lincoln wanted the nation to heal. The purpose of fighting, the original purpose for Lincoln fighting and the North going to war against the South was to, preserve the Union. And Lincoln knew at the end of the war that we had to show some humility. Yes, we can rejoice that it came out our way, but we had to do it with some humility. We had to be humble. We couldn't just come out and punish the South. And he knew for a reconciliation to come together that there had to be some decent terms. There were people in Congress that absolutely wanted General Lee to be arrested for treason so they could try him and hang him. There was members, or a large portion of the northern population, that really did want to punish and really wanted to seek retribution against the South. But calmer heads prevailed. As a matter of fact, Lincoln's terms were going to be so generous that there were many people in the South that when John Wilkes Booth assassinated Lincoln, they were upset with Booth because they knew Lincoln was going to give them some decent terms, and now they were afraid that the more radical, seeking retribution type people would take control, and the South would be punished really, really bad. So most Southerners did not celebrate the assassination of Lincoln. But we get back to John Wilkes Booth, we get back to Appomattox. General Grant was probably more understanding, and I don't know what the right term would be, I don't want to say soft, but the most humble. He did not want to punish. Now, folks, this is a general that had to make orders or give orders that send men to their deaths by the thousands. By the thousands. And yet he had the humbleness in his heart to offer very generous surrender terms. For one, I believe the Southern soldiers were allowed to keep their rifles because Grant knew they would need their rifle. They probably need to hunt for food. There they are in Virginia, and some of them might have to march all the way, or walk all the way back to Mississippi or Louisiana or Arkansas or wherever. And he knew, excuse me, he knew they might need that rifle. He also hoped by being generous and having agreeable terms that we would avoid having guerrilla warfare that might go on for years and years. If the North just sought out to punish the South, there would have been a group of Southerners that would have kept fighting and fighting and fighting, doing guerrilla warfare. Sorry, I had to pause there for just a minute. Where were we? Oh yeah. He's worried about guerrilla warfare. He knew the nation was not going to heal if we just sought retribution. This is why we study history. Because yes, we do have a divided nation. And it is nearly 50-50. Now, I don't remember what the final presidential elections results was. If it was 51-49. There's somewhere in that area, 2 or 3 points difference. That means those on the other side at the 49%, that's still nearly 50% of the nation. That's nearly half the nation. So as I said before, those of us that liked the election results, we have to understand that for nearly half the nation, they may be extremely upset. So the message here today is, yes, let's go out and celebrate. Let's look to the future. Let's hope we can get things turned around in this nation. Let us all be Americans again. If you're someone, I don't know the political affiliation of my viewers, and I don't intend to assume what your affiliation is. But if you're a viewer that saw things differently and voted, your side didn't come out on top, well, I just extend my hand to you. We have to do this virtually, but I shake your hand and I say, brother and sister, let's come together. Let's work together. There was a very powerful speech that Lincoln gave after the Battle of Gettysburg. We all know it as the Gettysburg Address. It's a very short speech, but extremely, extremely powerful. And I'm paraphrasing here just a little bit, but part of that speech that seems to be overlooked is there was a line in there where Lincoln said, for the first time in our history, talking about the first time after that battle of Gettysburg and looking like the Union was going to, ultimately win the war. He says, in the first time in our history, we have a chance to live up to that standard, that important precept contained in our Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal. So if we look back in that time between 1863 and where we are today, it's been a long, hard road, and we got a lot of work yet to do. We got a lot of healing yet to do. But folks, we're Americans, and we can do it. We still have the best system of government in the world. We have a wonderful nation. We can't go out and individually solve some nationwide problem. We can't do that as an individual. But what we can do is take care of our immediate area. We can take care of our family, help our neighbors, love one another. And if we each individually take care of our little individual sphere of influence, well, that just grows and grows and grows, and before you know it, it encapsulates the nation. Now, I do have a sister channel called History Delights. One of the videos on there is called They Saw the Elephant. They Saw the Elephant. And it's kind of a tribute of the unknown soldier of the Civil War. But it also highlights some of these basic principles that I've been talking about. I encourage you to go there and watch that video. It was kind of a one-man performance that I wrote, and I used to perform it live. And yeah, I guess I'm patting myself on the back a little bit, but it seemed to have a very powerful message that resonated with people. I got a lot of compliments on it. So to the viewers of Knife Delights, God bless you. Thank you each and every one for all of your support. Let's go out and enjoy life, and let's go out and take care of business. Let's take care of family. Let's take care of friends. Let's look after one another, and God bless. Until next time, have a very